first time this season, we've gotten some signs of life from Jared McCain, who's been off to a tough start to his second career NBA season. McCain put the ball in the basket for the first time against the Toronto Raptors, and we hope this is the start of plenty more to come. Doing a breakdown why I continue to have hope for what his outlook is on the Sixers team, and why this is becoming increasingly important as the wear and tear of the season begins to take a toll on the Sixers roster. So to jump into Jared McCain directly here, obviously not the start to his second season that anyone would like here, as he went scoreless in his first 4 games this year, but 5 points against the Raptors on 2 of 7 shooting, played about 14 minutes there, and you can see the sigh of relief in this picture from after that first basket fell through. And to just interject on the McCain conversation, I continue to be an extreme Jared McCain optimist, that I am a believer in what we saw on him on the floor last year, the guy that very clearly would have been the runaway for Rookie of the Year. I understand that he is not perfect, and we've seen sort of some of this play out in front of our very eyes, but I do think a bit more grace should be allowed for a guy whose rookie season was ended due to a meniscus tear, and then starting the season behind the 8 ball due to a torn ligament in his thumb. That is not easy circumstances for any player to play through, particularly a guy that really has not had his opportunity to scale up to the NBA workload, pace of play, and everything to this point. He's played, after those 5 games that he's played this season, just 28 in his young NBA career. But again, I'm a believer in what my eyes saw last year, and do think that there is a role for him on this Sixers team. Now, to talk about McCain a little bit more here, did want to dive into his game log in its entirety, and you can see it is not pretty to this point, that he was held out injured for the first 6 games of the season, played 15:09 of action in his first game back, and really struggled. Went scoreless from the floor on 0 for 4 shooting there, did add 2 assists and a rebound there, but obviously that is not what the Jared McCain job description fully calls for. That they need this guy to be a score-first player, a dude that fills up the stat sheet from the scoring department there, and it only gotten worse to that point, that he did not score in the next 4 games there, and then finally against the Toronto Raptors, finished with 2 boards, 5 points, did have a turnover and 2 fouls there, but there was a little bit of a level of joy and expression that I think is really key to his style of play. And the reason that I continue to bang the drum for why he's important is I just do not want to see a world where Tyrese Maxey entirely burns himself out this season. And I understand this is far more of a Nick Nurse conversation than anything with Jared McCain in particular, but for the first time all season, Tyrese Maxey has made his way onto the Sixers injury report, an awfully crowded Sixers injury report, as he is probable for tonight's game against the Milwaukee Bucks due to a right quad contusion. Now, that is not something that should cause panic or believe him to miss an extended period of time or any time, as he's listed as probable officially here, but I do think it is another sign that Nick Nurse needs to take note of, that maybe this guy leading the league at 40.3 minutes per game is a bit too much. And when talking about this guard conversation as a whole, VJ Edgecombe, obviously a huge part of the deal, and this is not a doubt about him whatsoever. Quentin Grimes, a little bit of a doubt about, as the highs and lows of Quentin Grimes are turning out to be pretty stark here. There are stretches of individual basketball games where you see the clear vision for what this guy brings, and when the shot is falling, he's an incredibly valuable basketball player. In that same game against the Toronto Raptors, that Grimes played a really important role getting hot from 3, knocking down 4 perimeter shots there, but there's also the stretches where it does feel like he is far too sped up. His body's moving way quicker than his mind, and the Sixers are punished due to those decision-making processes there. Now, a couple other notes on McCain. He was pretty open about how much of a struggle these short bursts were, and obviously we saw him spend 2 games down at the G League. I do think that was the best thing for him, just to get his mentality back, to see the ball go through the hoop a little bit and play with a little more basketball freedom. And what he said
how's it feel to be back?
And what he said in regard to those short bursts is McCain, quote, "Yeah, it's pretty tough," McCain explained. "It's just, you're just trying to get back to how you used to play, and certain things are different. And so you're trying to get used to that as well and find a flow within the game, but I know it'll come." And for McCain specifically here, when I'm talking about a grace period, physically, he's going to have to work through these. So there's going to be some knee soreness. You're going to have to regain that trust. But I think the bigger issue that he is facing in the entirety is all between the ears, that I think is mental for him. That it is a difficult process as an athlete to have kind of your identity as a human being taken from you when you're forced to sit on the sideline. And for McCain, this is a guy who through the entirety of his life has been so committed to the basketball court, being a guy that is doing this on an everyday basis, and to just have to reinvent yourself to an extent, it's difficult. And then when working back, you have to earn that trust in your knee yourself, that believe that this is a situation where you can trust yourself driving left and going off that knee. That is something that I think is still a work in progress there. And I think the torn ligament in the thumb as a whole is something that provided another layer to that he was unable to, keep up with the work rate and scale up that process in the way that it will command. My last note on last night's game directly for McCain, getting a kiss blown at him by Scotty Barnes.
How's it feel to be
back?
back?
Again, hit the wrong button. But for Scotty Barnes directly here on the dunk, I can't imagine. I'm thankful that Jared McCain did not, but this is a world where if you catch me in the right move, you might have to swing on a play like that. But I'm glad that he did not, and will say Scotty Barnes and Jared McCain in particular are two of the more higher energy, more positive players and personalities across this entire NBA. But did not love that from Scotty Barnes. Stay in your lane a little bit. You have not earned the stripes to be blowing kisses at people as you're going down the lane. You are not LeBron James. You are Scotty Barnes. And the Raptors, by the way, cooking something a little bit more than I've given them credit to this point. That there is a bit of a higher talent mark than I overall perceive for this roster. My question has always been how those pieces do fit together, but they're onto something there. They're building something up in Toronto. I still think that there's limitations to the team as a whole, that I think they could use more guard play for a guy like Jared McCain in particular here. But nonetheless, I don't think this was a bad loss last night. An annoying one because they certainly had the opportunity to win, and that third quarter really drained this team. But a guy like Jared McCain is a dude that can make an impact on changing that. That for so much being dependent on Tyrese Maxey, who for what it's worth did go far too quiet down the stretch there. One fourth quarter shot attempt and 14 on the game is just not enough for a guy who's proving the caliber of talent. I do wonder, now that I do see the injury report coming out today, if that quad was maybe a bit more bothersome than any of us knew in the time being. That there was not this level of aggression that he's played at for the better part of this season. And again, that still spells to me that you have to find an opportunity to spare him a bit more minutes. Leading the league at 40.3 minutes per game is a ton there. No player in the NBA has played over 40 minutes per game over the course of a season since the 2011 season there. You got to find a way. Now, the way that pathway is to me is once again the depth chart here. As we look at Tyrese Maxey, obviously sitting at number one in the point guard conversation, VJ Edgecombe at shooting guard, and then Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes, the two backups there. They have to find a way to cycle these four in a way that is completely effective. And in defense of Nick Nurse here, Jared McCain has to prove that he's ready to contribute at the level this team needs, and he's still a work in progress. But I do think it was a massive step forward in that. And even more positive news from like a physicality standpoint is Jared McCain is officially available for night 2 of this back-to-back. That was something that he entered the year with limitations on. Paul George will be suiting up as well, so there will be a decent caliber of talent. It is worth noting, Joel Embiid is sidelined once again with right knee injury management. My level of concern there has spiked a bit, and the reason that I say that is as of yesterday's game, he was listed as doubtful for most of the game, ultimately downgraded to out, but that was encouraging to me. That my mind connected with, okay, they probably want to play Joel Embiid and Paul George together. They have yet to share the floor this year. That's something that they're probably prioritizing the second half of the back-to-back. The fact that Joel Embiid has been listed as out directly today is not a great sign to me. We will see if there's any sort of update from Nick Nurse to the rest of the Sixers organization there, but something to watch that I do fear, and this is nothing new. This is sort of the situation we knew we were in coming into the season, is maybe the Joel knee issues are sparking up once again, which so frustrating for a guy who's dealt with these same sort of conversations and, internal debates for how much can I trust my body. Jared McCain has been pretty vocal about Joel. Has been a guy that's helped him in all those conversations. So it is nice to see that Jared is back on the floor and beginning to show a little bit of signs of life. It would mean a lot if tonight is the night where there's a bit of a breakout, where he can knock down 3-3-pointers or, have one of those flashes of a game where he just controls the scoring there. He is certainly capable of that. He absolutely is going to be a guy that spends a ton of time in this league, and do hope that gets put on display. My last note with Jared McCain, I just wanted to throw in here. Dan Hurley, man, who's one of the better coaches in the sport of basketball, but boy, does he come off like a loser quite often. And the quote that fired me up was about Alex Karaban, who's a guy who's had a very accomplished collegiate career, national champion. You can go down the list of things that he did. But the quote that Hurley had on Alex Karaban here is, quote, "He's not dropping TikToks or painting his nails. He's about winning." And again, this is just such a loser quote to me because, for starters, Jared McCain never even played against UConn during his lone one and done year of college basketball. And Jared McCain is a guy that I feel strongly and very confident in is going to spend a long time in the NBA. Alex Caravan, maybe a cup of coffee, but that's going to be a normal person job kind of guy. That is a dude who had an accomplished collegiate career, does not quite have the ceiling of a guy like Jared McCain. And it's just unnecessary to take a dig like that. I don't understand why that bothers people to the lengths that it does, the TikToks, the nails, whatever the case may be. All I care about is basketball, and I do see the pathway to Jared McCain making a huge impact on this Sixers team once he does get settled. So hopefully this sigh of relief that he did ultimately show after that first bucket is something that sends him in the right direction here. We will see how the role changes for Jared McCain. I think tonight in particular, even though it is a second night of a back-to-back for him, but this is an opportunity that if Maxey's a little bit banged up here, this could be a chance for Jared McCain to show what he really can do and get fully back on track for this Sixers team. So let me know if you guys are keeping the same level of optimism as me. If you are selling any Jared McCain stock, I will buy it up myself, as I believe in this kid being a huge part of this Sixers organization for the foreseeable future, and I know we will have the conversation at the end of the year there for how do these guard pieces all fit together. For the time being, I just want to get this guy back to playing like himself and do think that we are taking steps in those proper directions. So let me know if you guys are with me in the comments. I appreciate you guys for hanging with me as always. Make sure you're dropping a subscribe to the channel if you have not just yet. Drop a like on this video. Give me your thoughts below. I'll be back. Talk with you next time. Peace.